You know how some people are losers, right? Well, you don't want to join that group because if you pick these players for fantasy basketball, well, I just have no choice but to label you a loser. Michael Bolton?
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NBA fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I made Steve Gutenberg a star. I'm also the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com, and thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free. We are available on all platforms. We have done sleeper shows for category leagues, we've done sleeper shows for points leagues, and now we're on the other side of the coin. We're doing busts. And what do I mean by bust? It just means that where this player is currently ranked, I think it's a mistake to pick them there. Does it mean that your season is over? No. You can fix this most of the time, outside of maybe a couple of them. But they're just picks that I wouldn't make. I just think the valuation on those players is, I don't think it's wrong. It's just different to how I evaluate those players. I'm going to go through those ones on ESPN, on Yahoo, and on Fantrax, and just tell you the guys that at the current spots where they're ranked, I'm just not touching it. And by not touching it, I mean, I'm probably looking at it like maybe 15, 20, 30, 40 spots lower. That's the sort of guys we're looking at. We've got 24 guys on Yahoo, 24 guys on ESPN. What do we got on? No, 24. No, 20. 20 on Yahoo, 20 on ESPN, and 15 on Fantrax. We'll go, I can't count apparently. Let's go through and talk about these players. I'll give you some indications of why I think that and where they're currently positioned across on those sites. We'll start with Yahoo. This, of course, I'm recording this on the 7th of October, and by the time you might look at this in a week's time, and there might be adjustments made to the ranks, and that does make some of these things tougher to go through. But I'm going to tell you what I think based on where the players currently sit, and I'm going to do it based on rank because in 80% of cases, ADP on sites follows the rank. So when there are ranking adjustments, the ADP is often lagging because it's based on what the previous ranks were, and it will follow on to the new ranks. So at the moment, after Yahoo made this, I don't even know what decision it was that they made to adjust the X ranks to seemingly be more category focused, we're going to have adjustments in ADP following that. I don't really, in a million years, understand why Jalen Wells is ranked at number 118. I don't get that. It doesn't really make any sense to me. Now, we did have news today that Ja Morant sprained his ankle and is considered week to week. Now, I know week to week is scary. The Grizzlies are a terrible injury reporting team. We know that they could easily come out and tell us it's a grade 3 ankle sprain and be back in a day. That's what they do. Most Memphis people that I have seen talk about this are not that worried. They just think it's a small ankle tweak. He's just not going to play the preseason. It's fine. The team didn't even put out an official press release for it. Someone just told one of the reporters, DeMar Cole, host of Locked On Grizzlies. Right? They just told him. It is feeling like it's just he's not playing in the preseason. I believe that if Morant does miss, Scottie Pippen will be the bigger beneficiary versus Ty Jerome. You can bump them around in drafts. Like Jerome to me is not really a 12-team draftable guy. Pippen is, and this just pushes him a little bit high. But also, this injury does not seem like it's something that's a long-term thing. Now, all of that is to say that Jalen Wells is overranked, and you can say whether that's, does he get a bump with Morant out? I don't think so. Like, Wells started a lot of games last season, and I do think that Jalen Wells plays more this season than he did in the previous season. But that doesn't mean that we need to be drafting him inside the top 120, and that's going to be my cutoff for a lot of these, or all of these. Like, if you're ranked inside the top 120 for a 12-team league with 10 active spots, that means you're not a bench guy. That means you're not a flyer, and I don't really get that for Wells, who was not even a top 200 guy last season. It makes no sense. Nickeil Alexander-Walker in Atlanta now is at 110. All right. Why? We're talking about a backup, the guy that's behind Trae Young and Dyson Daniels, who can be pretty solid, but I won't say that Alexander Walker's had a career of just blowing up in small-minute roles. I don't get it. That is a waste of a pick at 110. Not a 12-team draftable guy, in my opinion. Anfernee Simons is ranked at 79. His ADP sits at 90. 79 is too high. I believe Simons will come off the bench for the Celtics. I think Peyton Pritchard will start. Now, maybe I'm wrong, And maybe Simons plays 32, 33 minutes, and then 79 is okay. But 79 for him, alongside Derrick White and Jalen Brown, in a situation where he might be traded mid-season or he might find himself shut down due to injuries or whatever, it is almost like peak value. I would not be doing this here. To me, he's a guy you take outside the top 100. Cam Thomas is ranked at 85. He's going to get a lot of shots, absolutely. This is category leagues we're talking about, remember? Points leagues, he has a little bit more value. But A, a lot of health problems with a hamstring last season. But B, will he be on the team? They can trade him with his permission. Or will he even be playing down the stretch? And he's so empty in so many different areas that I just wouldn't want to touch him inside the top 100. Not for me. And then Dennis Schroeder is the next guy. He's got an ADP, Schroeder, or a rank of 112. He will be, I believe, the Sacramento Kings starting point guard. I think that there's nearly every Kings player is overranked at the moment. I don't really know why. I think a lot of it is that some of the rankings are done without actually looking at the projected stats of players and putting them all together. Because the reason that Sabonis, LaVine, DeRozan, Schroeder, Monk can all be overranked is they haven't taken into consideration that there's only one ball. So they all can't get that many shots. They all can't get that many assists. So I think that's part of the problem. Schroeder last season played 28 minutes a night. He was 183rd. Okay, so he probably plays a few more minutes in Sacramento. True, he probably does. But I don't really care. I'm not taking him to be one of my starters. I'm not taking him to be my 10th best player. That, to me, if you wanted to take him in round 11 or 12 as a flyer type, maybe. But also, why? I don't think it's good. This one you might think is controversial because it is obvious how Andrew Nembhard improves this season. Tyrese Halliburton is gone. But Nembhard is ranked 72nd on Yahoo. That is round 6 for a 12-team league. His ADP is 76. Nembhard, when he has replaced Tyrese Halliburton, has not been good. He's had some unbelievable shooting runs in the playoffs. In the regular season, has not been good. I expect that his assist numbers rise. I think that his usage numbers will go up. But 72nd means you are in the top half of all players in a fantasy league. And I am absolutely not doing that. I don't think that I would look at him inside the top 100, honestly. I think he's fine. He's an interesting later round pick who is going to see more to do. But that number is hard for me to get excited about. DeMar DeRozan is at 56. I just talked about this with the Kings. DeRozan is fine. He'll score his 20 points. His efficiency and his free throws are pretty solid. I'm not sure he repeats his threes. Even his steal numbers from last season. And look, when you've got Schroeder and LaVine and Sabonis and DeRozan all on the team, where do the assists fall? At 56, it is possible to see DeRozan doing that. But is it probable? Is it a safe floor at 56? Has he got any ability to be better than that? And I would say no, there's not a safe floor there. And no, I don't think he's got an ability to be better than that. He's more likely to be in the 80s to me than in the 50s. Christian Braun is ranked at 86 for Denver. His ADP is 96. So I do believe that'll come in. Remember, though, Yahoo ADPs are based on all drafts, so it's points leagues as well. Braun got by on insane efficiency. His free throw percentage jumped 20 percentage points. His field goal percentage went through the roof. If he does take more threes this season, which he might, they said that they need him to do that, his field goal percentage will drop. And when that is your number one fantasy category, which before I spout off on that, let me go and double check, but I'm pretty sure his field goal percentage was his number one overall contribution for fantasy. And then if it's going to drop, or if it drops by 4 or 5 spots, I'm going to double check that. Was it his number one category? Yeah, by an absolute country mile. He was only above average in 2 other categories, and it was by a bee's dick in steals and free throws. Barely. It was all field goal percentage. So you need him to go at 58% again, and you could argue that over the last month that he was a 65% field goal guy, and that's true, he was. That also means that he wasn't 58 until the last month pushed him over. I just don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think that's going to be real. I think he's going to attempt more threes this season, which will drop that field goal percentage and mean that number one category of his will fall down, and you're just, again, that is ceiling level stuff. Rowan Barrett has a rank of 93. In a points league, that's cool. In a category league, like, no thanks, especially with the addition of Ingram, especially with maybe some risk of him being someone who is marginalized for Murray Boyles or Dick or Walter, or he is traded. 93 in a category league for Rowan does not work. And then Chet Holmgren. The Oxtail legend is ranked at 23. Chet will play more than last season, unless there's an injury, which, of course, I think we have to have. There's an element of concern there. But at 23, playing also next to Isaiah Hartenstein a lot, reduces field goals and rebound numbers. I like Chet a lot. He'll be one of the guys, though, that could be the Hassan Whiteside All-Star. And again, he's not Hassan Whiteside. Like, he's actually a very good player. But Hassan Whiteside was one of those guys that people are like, oh, let's take him in the first round of fantasy, because look at that, he was the 11th ranked player, and Giannis was ranked 70th, so Hassan, he's just so good, yeah? But he's one of the players, Chet, who could come out with these high block numbers that get skewed by a standard ranking system. So I'm not touching him at 23. Third round, whatever. Go for it. Fourth round, probably much better if I could do that for Chet. Now, he was like outside the top 60 last season, obviously limited minutes. But yeah, I'm just not doing it at 23 for Chet. That's just not for me. I'm going to come back and talk more Yahoo, more ESPN, and some Fantrax busts as well. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by FanDuel. The NFL season is here, and FanDuel has an offer that you don't want to miss. New customers now can bet $5. And if you win your first $5 bet, they will give you $300 in bonus bets that you can use across the app. Find what bet you want to do. Put $5 on it. And if it hits, you'll unlock those bonus bets. And you can use those for parlays. Maybe you want to chuck a big 20-leg parlay in there. You can do live betting. Spreads, totals, straight ups, futures. Combine your futures. Maybe you want to let's do Stanley Cup champs with NBA champs with Super Bowl winner with national champion college football, national champion college basketball. Put it all into a futures parlay if you want. Whatever you want. But you've got your bonus bets if you win that first $5 bet. So what are you waiting for? Go to FanDuel.com to download the FanDuel app today. And to get started, what are you really gambling with? We're here talking busts for category leagues in fantasy basketball. We're going through some busts in Yahoo leagues. Guys that I just wouldn't really consider at the position that they're currently ranked at. And we'll start it off again where we've just gone a number of times now. Sacramento Kings and Zach LaVine. LaVine is ranked at 61. I think LaVine is fine in the 80s. Like, that's okay if you wanted to take him there. And some people go, that's ridiculous to consider him there. Okay, I understand some skepticism about where I've got him, which I do have him low. But DeRozan and Sabonis and Schroeder and LaVine can't all be ranked where they are and have it make sense. I think they're all too high. LaVine also led the league in three-point percentage last season, so I'm going to suggest that probably doesn't hold. And I just think he's just not going to be this successful. So in the 60, like, it's not a disastrous pick. It's fine. Right? If you want to do it there, it is easily recoverable from. But I would rather wait on it and take him in the 80s, maybe in the 90s. But again, look, maybe it's possible that Schroeder, LaVine, DeRozan all succeed at that ADP. That would mean that Sabonis is the 70th best player. Or yeah, vice versa. Sabonis hits his number and LaVine hits his number and DeRozan's 130th best player. They can't all hit these numbers. It feels impossible. And some of them will. Some of them will. But the others will miss by a sizable margin. And that's, again, a thing that's, I think, somewhat hidden when you're looking at rankings like this, is that they can put all those numbers out for these guys. And some of them will hit, but they all can't, I don't think. Jarrett Allen ranked at 60. No. We saw his minutes drop off a lot last season. We saw them start to marginalize what he was doing. I think the absence of Strus helps him early on, but his block numbers are down. Like, he's a good field goal percentage guy. He's a strong rebounder, but at 60, though, I've got a lot better ways to spend the 60th pick than on Jarrett Allen. Derek Lively's at 114. Now, it does help Lively that Gafford is out to start the season, or appears that he'll be out. Lively himself is returning from injury, but he looks like he's fine to go. But to me, Lively, you need 27 minutes of Derek Lively to pay off as a starter caliber fantasy player. And being ranked at 114 suggests that he's a starting caliber fantasy player. I like Derek Lively a lot. He also struggled when Luka was gone last season. I'm 130, do it. Like, cool. If I'm looking to fill out my 10th active slot, I'm not going with Derek Lively. Ivica Zubac, this is easy. He's ranked at 35. No. Absolutely no chance. They did not bring in Brook Lopez to play 14 minutes a night and to play John Collins 0 minutes at center. That is not what they did. Ty Lue has said, we played Ivica Zubac too much. He's going to play fewer minutes. If he goes down and plays 28 minutes and 29 minutes, this is one of those ones. If you're taking Ivica Zubac in round 3, that is one of those ones where it's like, oof, I think it is hard for you to recover. Zubac was awesome. Don't get fooled into he won me my title last year. He probably did because you got him at 100. Do not do this. This is a terrible one. And then again, another Kings guy, Domantas Sabonis. He's ranked at 13. Okay, I just don't buy it. He had some hamstring troubles at the end of last season, and whether it's the hamstring troubles or it was the addition of LaVine that made him like not even a top 40 player, I don't know. But it's probably a combination of both of those things. But for a player like Sabonis, who you'll get really strong rebounds, you get very good out of position assists, you get strong field goal percentage. But what else do you get? You don't get any blocks. You don't get any steals. You get well below average scoring. You don't get threes, and you get bad free throws. For a pick in the first round, he's a 3-category player, a rebounds, assists, and field goal percentage guy. Because again, his points, you're drafting guys in that area averaging 26 points. He might get 18. It's a terrible move, I think, to take Sabonis in that first round range. There is just absolutely no way that I would do it. And I know someone will say, well, yeah, he ranked like 10th last season. That's cool, but that's, again, you need to presume that Giannis was the 50th best player last season for that to make sense. And also, there's a lot of other things that are a part of that. He was also like outside the top 30, or outside the top 40 even, I think, after LaVine was traded. So, yeah, I'm not doing that one. 5 more busts, actually, for Yahoo. And we'll go to Dallas, but I don't really get what we're doing with D'Angelo Russell. Now, it is distinctly possible that Kyrie just does not play this season. I think he will come back, but it is possible he does not play, so D'Angelo Russell, I guess, is the starter, but also, he might be bad. Like, he just might not be good enough, and maybe Brandon Williams is better, or they go with Cooper Flagg playing next to Dante Exum, or whatever they decide to do. Russell last season started most of the year, and he was bad. He played 26 minutes a night. He wasn't a top 100 player. And he was a starter for the majority of... for the Lakers, not really, but for the Nets, he was. But again, there was some weirdness with all that stuff. And I don't think he's a 31% shooter from the 3 or 39% from the field, D'Lo. But at 100, you're expecting a higher level of production than what I think is reasonable from Russell. You may look at me saying that Donovan Clingan is a bust as a bit silly. There's no DeAndre Ayton anymore, Josh. True. His backup is Young Hun Sen. True. Robert Williams is injured. All this is true. He's ranked at 87. That's not that much capital to invest in Clingan. Guess what? Also true. But what is he? Rebounds? Sure. Blocks? Absolutely. What else? Not a good field goal percentage guy, not a good free throw percentage guy, not a steals guy, not an assist guy, not a threes guy, not a scoring guy. Not a high minutes upside guy. Unlike taking Zubac in round 3, this doesn't kill you to take Clingan here. I just wouldn't do it. I just don't have that much faith in him as a player. I think Benedict Matherin's going to do a lot more this season, but I'm not taking him at pick 90. He is going to start. He's going to play more minutes. He's going to score more. But can he do anything else? He'll be a scoring guy. He will be a free throw percentage guy. He'll probably hit enough threes to be useful, but will he do anything else? At 110, I love it. At 90, I don't. I also hate Desmond Bane at number 37. Now, Desmond Bane's a very good player. He will make the Magic better. But that's not really what it's all about in fantasy. Where does his usage sit? Does it drop 2 percentage points from him in Memphis? I don't know. How often will he have the ball in his hands? Because it was Ja and it was him in Memphis. And in Orlando, it's going to be Suggs or Jones and Wagner and Banchero. And he'll have it, but will he have it as much? So I expect assist rate and usage rate for Bane to drop. So if you're taking him in round 3, which rank 37 is like the first pick of round 4 in a 12-teamer, you need him to do more. And then Jalen Brunson at 20. Absolutely no chance. Not doing this at all. He is a good scorer with good assists and pretty efficient. But I do worry that there is going to be a little bit of a usage drop, probably a minutes drop, and then he's a bad rebounder, not a steals guy, doesn't get blocks, obviously. And I just think that there is an impact of the new coach, and Brunson is an overrated fantasy guy. To take him as your second player, I just think he's not the correct way to go about that. We will come back and talk ESPN and Fantrax for busts. Today's episode, though, it is brought to you by Monarch Money. Most people can't name all their financial accounts or even what they're worth. Might be 401ks or properties or investments. When you don't have the full picture, you can end up leaving money on the table. That's why there is Monarch Money, the all-in-one personal finance tool that brings your entire financial life together in one clean, easy-to-use interface on your laptop or on your phone. It is built for people with busy lives. So if you've put off organizing your finances, Monarch is for you. Monarch does the heavy lifting for you, linking all of your accounts in minutes. You can see the clear data, visuals, get smart categorization of your spending, and finally feel in control of your money without ever touching a spreadsheet. Although, that's done though. We all love spreadsheets here. Like, Monarch, can you give us a spreadsheet? Maybe you don't want it. They just take that off your table so you can do fun things with spreadsheets. Don't let financial opportunities slip through the cracks. Use the code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarchmoney.com with the code LOCKEDONNBA. So we talked about guys who I think are busts based on current Yahoo rank. Now we're going to do ESPN. Now, probably won't talk as long about ESPN because a lot of the players have already spoken about it. And ESPN, like we continue to say, is a tough one to figure out because the front page of ESPN Fantasy Basketball, here are our roto/head-to-head category ranks. Thanks, that's great. There's 150 names on there and there's some weird ones. And then you go into your league and you look at the player projections. Then you go into your draft room and you look at the ranking there and it's a completely different list. Now, maybe at some point that list updates to follow the new rankings. But it is now almost a week since that article updated, and it has not changed in the draft rooms. So I'm going to base it mainly, I'm going to give you 15 guys based on the numbers in the draft room. And I'm going to give you 5 names based on the written article list that I think are busts over on ESPN. So let's do it. Let's talk about some league or category league busts on the worldwide leader. Again, come on, Mulwatch. He's ranked on 104. On the new updated list, he's not ranked at all, but at 104, no. Just absolutely not. It is possible he is the 4th string center on opening night, with Mark Williams, BDNR, and Ossie Ighodaro ahead of him. Now, I think Mulwatch is going to be an interesting player, but this is a rookie center who's not a starter. Insane. Brook Lopez is ranked at 53. 53. Yep, that's actually what I said, 53. We can have a look at what Brook did last season if you want, if you just want to feel a little bit better about that number, because he was really good. Obviously, he was fantastic playing for Milwaukee, defied a lot of expectations, including some of my own, but still, he was 106th and 111th in points leagues. He had a 16 usage. He's 37 years old and played 32 minutes a night, and guess what? Unless something catastrophic happens to Ivica Zubac, he is not playing 32 minutes a night. He's probably playing 20. Let's say 22. 53. That finishes your draft. Your league is done. Now, the updated article, which doesn't reflect in draft rooms, has him at 129, which is still too high. But 53 is honestly it's actually crazy. A couple more rookies at the top of this list for ESPN, so I'm not really sure what they're thinking here, but Tre Johnson and Derrick Queen are ranked at 116 and 118. I don't think either of these guys starts opening night. And again, this is in a 12-team league. This is a starter you're drafting. Rookie guards, and Tre had not a good fantasy profile in college. Tre Johnson, he was not a high assist guy. He was a volume scorer. He was not a good fantasy player. 116 is insane. Derrick Queen might be the 3rd string center, and he's not even healthy. It might be, amazingly, Yves Missi and Kevon Looney. And Queen can be a good fantasy player with his passing, his rebounding, some scoring. But I think his shooting is going to be bad. I think his free throws could be a problem. I think his defensive stuff is going to be putrid. 118 is absolute nonsense. Now, to be fair to ESPN, in their updated rankings, they're not even present in the top 150. So I don't really know what that means. But when you go into a room, they're there. Clay's at 109. And then they updated the rankings to put at 107. Klay Thompson this is, of course. I don't know what other Klay you're talking about. Klay Smith? No. Klay Thompson. You do not draft Klay Thompson. Why would you do this? I think he's going to be worse than last season, to be honest. And he wasn't anywhere close to that number last season. This is, again, that's not a league killer. That's not a I have lost my league pick. But it's pretty silly. I don't really understand the rationale behind it. Nor do I with these 2 Mavericks picks. Daniel Gafford at 67 and PJ Washington at 62. What? We're talking the 6th round of a 12-team league? 7th of a 10-man? Gafford and PJ, to be honest, again, they've been, in the written article, they're updated to 142 for Gafford and 138 for Washington, which is still too high for Washington. Gafford's also injured to start the season. But if you want to take Gafford at 120, I think that's okay. In the 60s, like, forget it. That kills you. Imagine you take Lopez in the 50s and then Gafford in the 60s. Forget your league. You're finished. Bud Hield sits with a ranking of 108 in the draft rooms and 106 on the new article, so not much of a change there. Is Buddy Hield going to start, or is it going to be Podziemski or Moody? Hield is a one-category specialist who has no trust from the coaching staff. He'll have some good games, absolutely. But this is a terrible pick. I just finished one of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Bowl drafts, and we went 16 rounds deep for a 12-man league, and Hield was undrafted. 108, insane. What about Ace Bailey sitting at 87? Come on, man. The updated article doesn't have him in the top 150, correct. He may not start for the Jazz. He will have, their projections have him projected at 47% from the field. If Ace Bailey shoots 47% from the field this season, I'm not really sure what I will do. Something outrageous. I've already promised that I'm going to show whole if Jalen Suggs has a 28% usage, so we can't do that one again. What am I going to do if Ace Bailey ranks shoots 47% from the field for the season? It's just not happening. Pick 87 it's close to a league-losing pick. And Anfernee Simons sits at 76 with an updated rank of 70. So they've gone harder. They've heard the rumor that Pritchard started. Go, let's move him up. No, but I already talked about why that is a bad decision. Another rookie that's just placed in a weird spot, Dylan Harper, is at 110 in the ESPN draft room. Okay. He's not ranked on the updated list, but in the draft room he's at 110. He may not even be ready for opening night. He might be. And De'Aaron Fox won't be. But they also might start Steph Castle at point guard and go with Vassell and then put a Julian Champagny or Sohan and Barnes in there. So even if Fox is not available and Harper is opening night, Harper may not start. It might be Castle. Now, their level of passing in that team will be fairly putrid without Harper in there. But if you want to take Dylan Harper, don't take him to be a starter on your team. Yusuf Nurkic is at 114. DeJounte Murray is ranked at 46. Bro, DeJounte Murray is not even coming back January from a torn Achilles and will be limited on minutes with ramping up and back-to-backs. 46. Now, again, to be fair, Harper, Nurkic, and Murray on the updated article are all not ranked in the top 150, which is very weird considering these ranks that I'm referencing in the draft room and the updated article were 1 week apart. So someone went, right, he's at 46, and then a week later went, no, absolutely not. He's not even top 150, which is correct for DeJounte Murray to not be top 150. But you're going to go into a draft room and see him at 46. D'Angelo Russell, I talked about this already, so they went even harder than Yahoo did. He's at 73. Now, his updated rank is 85, which is still too high. He probably can start all season, but he also might not, even if Kyrie doesn't return. And then Jeremy Grant at 102. The odds of much. Come on, what's happening? He was horrendous last season. He may not start. He may not play in March and April again. 102 is a burnt pick. Now I want to give you 5 names from the updated rankings article that I just think are not good. Nikola Vucevic. He's ranked in the draft room at 44, which is still a little high for me. But the updated list has him at 30. Do you want to know who's at 31? Kevin Durant. If you want to take Vuce at pick 30, knock yourself out. Oh, Vuce is going to prove you wrong again, Josh. You're going to be wrong again. I don't think so. Was I wrong on Vuce last season? For the most part, yes. But I'm happy to be wrong when somebody has career best shooting and complete outlier numbers. I'm happy to be wrong on that because I'm never going to predict that that's going to happen. Vuce at 30, crazy. What about Jalen Green at 38 on the updated list? Now, it's not that different from where he is in the draft room at 42. I'll take Jalen Green in the 70s for a category league. I'll do that. I'll look at him in a points league in the top 50, no problem. 38, nah. Ivica Zubac, I loved it when he sat at 96 on ESPN for category leagues, which is where he is in the draft room. So that's pretty good. And then they said, no, we're actually changing this. We're moving him back to 41 to make him a disaster once again. So if they update the draft room to follow that ranking list, he'll be in at 41 and you want to really stay away. Josh the Hitman Hart's at 42, or 49. Oh, he's at 42 on the updated list. So he was at 49, and that was way too high anyway. And now he's at 42, so they're doubling down on it. You should double away from that. Get out of it. Do not be invested in the Josh Hart business. it is almost certain to me he is coming off the bench. And then Reed Shepherd. Their initial update after the Van Vliet injury put him to 115, which I think is a reasonable spot. That is the spot for Reed Shepherd. And then they went, all right, nah, bet he's at 55 now. All right. I don't think that's probably the right decision, to be honest. Let's take a look at some Fantrax bust players to finish this show off on Category League busts. On Fantrax, Anfernee Simons has an ADP of 89. This is one of these ones. If he starts and plays 33 minutes, 89 is reasonable. I'm totally okay with it. Stephon Castle sits with an ADP of 113. Castle was terrible for category leagues last season. And I actually think that usage that he got, that it even made him remotely usable, just won't be there. And again, if you're inside the top 120, you are drafting somebody to be a starter on your team, and I do not want to do that with Steph Castle. So absolutely not at 113. Cam Thomas at 91, I talked about him already. Zach LaVine at 56 and DeMar DeRozan at 63. Like I've said, I am just lower on all of the Kings players. Except Keegan Murray, where I seem to be higher on him. But I'm lower on all of the Kings players. Because I just don't think it can all coexist to the levels that those numbers would suggest. Jarrett Allen has an ADP of 61. So I've been banging on about not picking Jarrett Allen high. And sometimes the Fantrax ADPs do sort of mirror a lot of my thoughts. But not this one. 61, no. RJ Barrett's at 97. In a points league, reasonable. Category league, no. Christian Braun at 95, which is a bit better than where he is on Yahoo, but still, again, the value when he's providing it in field goal percentage, if he goes to 54, still really good from a guard, he's nowhere near this. Sabonis is at 13. I've detailed my issues there. If you really wanted to, go the end of the second round for him, not the end of the first. And then Chet Holmgren at 29. I've detailed that as well. It just does not feel right. This is one that I debated having on this Fantrax list, but it is Andrew Nembhard, where his ADP comes in at 91. Now, it's not like where it sits on Yahoo, where it's just way too high. At 95, I'm not totally against it, but if I'm going to go through and do projections and do rankings and have systems in place, if Nembhard's not coming out to me inside the top 100, then I'll tell you that I don't like the pick. I'm not going to be critical of it because I can easily see how this works. But I'm gonna put it here, just telling you that I do not have him inside the top 100. I do not have him inside the top 110. So that could easily be wrong, and it doesn't matter that much. And I can see how it would work, but I am just highlighting that. I've talked about Klingon before, ADP at 88. Just it's too high for a maybe 2 category guy. Zubac at 41 is a burnt pick. I also don't like Gobert at 68. I worry that the blocks don't come back. He is obviously getting towards the twilight of his career. Maybe there's an extra usage drop coming this season as well. And then the other one is Jalen Duren at 57, who was quite poor last season to begin the year. Was pretty strong at the end of the season, but Isaiah Stewart is still there. I don't think he's going to start getting 33, 34 minutes a night, Duren, and I'm not really sure what else unlocks. Is he a higher usage player? If they're going to play Asar Thompson more, do they limit what Duren does and get someone else in there at center to enable Asar's lack of shooting to work more? 57 is just, it's too high for me. There are a lot of centers that are just too high on Fantrax. Klingon, Gobert, Duren, Allen. Just too many guys that are Zubac's positioned too high. Now, if that means that I miss out on a lot of centers doing a Fantrax draft, if people are drafting by ADP, then I do have to assess what I'm doing. And maybe I do have to go a little bit higher on some of those guys to get them. But in isolation, those numbers all appear a little bit too high to me. And they are busts that I think. For category leagues, Yahoo, ESPN, and on Fantrax. You know what to do here. You hit the subscribe button. You thumb it up if you are watching this on YouTube. If you are watching on the YouTube mobile app, scroll across where the comments are and hit the hype button. I would appreciate a hype. Guys, we are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.